Hello everyone, thanks for coming back to the channel. The title for today's video is how to make video with your mobile. Now this is a subject that I'm not going to discuss alone. I have with me a very special guest from a company called Vid Academy based in Cork in Ireland, and her name is Judie Russell. So join me in welcoming Judie to the channel. Welcome, Judie.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you, Judie, for joining me. We connected obviously on Twitter, and then I looked at your profile and I thought, what an excellent potential interviewee, obviously subject to your agreement, for this channel and for this interview. And I have, as you know, I've given you a number of questions to give this a structure so that we can draw on your expertise and learning for my audience. So the first question is, what is your story?
So I suppose when I deliver workshops, I start off by kind of going through my story first. So I should be used to telling this, but my video journey started out when I was like 4 years old. My parents bought a camcorder in like 1989, a big, huge chunk of a thing, and I loved it. So I used to get my sister and brother to, like, they were a few years older, so they could actually carry it and use it. So I'd get them to kind of follow me around the garden while I'd present, you know, about the flowers and the swings and all that kind of stuff. But then kind of, I suppose I'm from Cork, and at the time we weren't living in a YouTube generation at the time. Nobody even had a mobile phone. So I couldn't see video as a viable career option for myself. So I kind of put that kind of dream to bed kind of thing. And so I studied a master's in business economics, which was a little left field and great to study, but never saw myself working in the industry at all.
Sure.
So I finished that. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I finished that, and then I set off traveling, and I ended up away for 5 years without coming home. And I went to New Zealand for a couple of years, Australia, traveled through India, spent a bit of time in the States, and then in Central America. I was really desperate for a job, and I had about €400 to my name. Now I was on my own. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I can't speak Spanish. I can't do anything here. So this job came up on Craigslist, and it said news spokeswoman required. And I didn't even know what it meant, or if I was going to get murdered by going to the interview, but I went.
Wow.
And it turned out to be a real company, and they were an affiliate marketing company for offshore gaming kind of thing. So they were an American-based company, or American HQ, but operating from Costa Rica. And they had a big forum that was their kind of main core business. But then they started making videos, and they invested in this big room with a green screen and cameras, a teleprompter and lights. And then I kind of got to thinking that maybe these are in the back of every company. But I've later realized I still haven't seen anything like it in my life. So that's where I started off presenting to camera and learning about all that kind of thing. But I got jealous of the boys, and I came back to Ireland then to learn all the technical stuff, because I was working with a team of 5 guys, and they knew all the editing, all the lighting, all the camera. So I came back and trained up in that. And then I had my own show for a year where I made a half-an-hour TV show for Sky once a week. Yeah. And I worked on The Young Offenders, which was a very popular movie in Ireland. I don't know if it made it as far as you
I've seen it, and I was just watching some clips on your channel. Very funny.
It's brilliant. Yeah. It was a great thing. Like that was a very indie movie that was really well. Like, it was funded by the director himself and a couple of investors that he knew, and then it turned into a Netflix or a BBC TV show, and it's on Netflix as well. So then I got into training people how to make videos, because I realized kind of I had experience in all of the different areas with camera, presenting, lighting, sound, and I could put them all together and show people how to make them for their businesses. So kind of a call back to the economics degree, kind of staying in the professional services environment, but bringing video to it, if you get me.
Yeah, I mean, what a crazy story for a start in video and TV, but South American link, just not what you expect at all, but really good. And obviously you seized your opportunity. Was there a time when you thought, well, okay, I have these production skills, I have these presenting skills, should I turn this into a business, or should I be an employee for, you know, large channels and so on? When did that thought cross your mind, and when you did decide to sort of set up your own business?
Well, you know, I don't know about you, but I think the entrepreneur spirit is kind of born in you.
Yes.
And once you have it, working for someone else will never really do it for you the same way. Now, at the moment, I actually I'm holding on to a part-time job
Yeah.
in my local university, where I'm building kind of a video team in there.
Yeah.
And I actually really enjoy it because it's a big organization working with a big team of people. Whereas when I'm on my own doing the training videos, it's just me and one other person, and it's very siloed. So to be able to get that kind of amazing kind of large organization experience is great. But I always had to have a side hustle, no matter what I was doing. Like, I always had to have something that I was doing on my own on the side. Otherwise, I never felt right or something.
No, I completely understand. I think sort of working for yourself in whatever capacity, it's, as you say, it's innate. It's not for everybody, because I think most people enjoy the relative security, and I'll say security in inverted commas, of having a sort of a permanent job or a permanent gig, knowing that they do this, they then need to be here between these hours, obviously before pandemic, and that they will get so much compensation for this. But being your own boss, it's often glamorized, but as I say, it's not a calling for everyone. And I could tell just from, you know, looking at your profile and your experience, that was something that very much appealed to you. Could you give me 3 adjectives that a client of yours would use to describe you, please?
And this is a tough one, I guess,
Mm.
because I was trying to go through my testimonials to see what they actually said rather than make it up. But I think, you know, it's kind of like an oxymoron. I don't even know if I'm using that word correctly, but like, it's like creative but professional. And what I found from working in larger organizations is that professionals don't think that they can be creative at the same time. And I think that's the worst kind of like misconception out there. Like, I think everyone is creative, and even accountants are creative. They do
Yes.
creative things with numbers to make, you know, so like everyone has it in them. And then, so I think creative and professional. And then, God, like for the third one, I was really stuck. I was blow drying my hair, and I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna say like authentic, because things come out of my mouth before I even realize that they're out, and I don't really have a great filter. It's getting better as I get older, but I think I'd have to credit myself with authentism because of that, maybe.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I think those are good. Creative, professional, authentic. I think they're all good and they all apply to you. But having just had a quick look at your profile and the sort of work that you've done, the fact that you can be in front of camera, behind camera, understand how to put all the pieces together, I'd say you're multi-talented, because not everybody can do that. Obviously, some people are the talent and they go in front of the camera and do that job, and they do it expertly. But you also know how to do all the behind the camera stuff. So I'd say you're definitely multi-talented.
And that probably comes down to being stubborn, because I remember in college, like when we were studying, like our lecturers were like, you have to really pick one area that you want to get into, because that's the only way to kind of develop a career. Is it sound? Is it camera? Is it presenting? And I was like, no, I want to do them all. I want to do them all. And then luckily the world kind of went that way for me. I'm not saying that I predicted anything, but it just happened to fall in favor of what I wanted to do.
No, that's brilliant. In terms of your target audience, let's just if we just focus on the business element, and that's obviously most relevant to my audience. Who's your target audience for your courses? And obviously, I'd like people to, and we'll come on to this later, to investigate all your links and your website and investigate the courses and the workshops you have. But in addition to who your target audience is, can you also think about just a couple of general tips for people who are just thinking, I do want to make video, I haven't got thousands and thousands of pounds or euros per month to spend on it. How can I get started?
100%. So like it's been hard to work out my target audience, and I've just realized actually over in the past few months that it's digital marketers really, like, and
Yeah.
entrepreneurs who don't have the budget to create their own videos. And it's those two people, because they, firstly, they have the fluency of kind of being in the marketing sphere. So, you know, it's not starting from scratch. They pretty much know everything that they need to know, to script things and everything like that. So that makes it super easy. And they're usually quite technical as well when they're dealing with, you know, Google Analytics and all that kind of stuff. Like,
Yes.
for me, like, Premiere Pro is super simple compared to Google Analytics. You know, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh. So I think that they're who I love to work with the most, because I find that they pick stuff up really fast, and then I get to see the content that they produce often, and that gives me a kick as well.
Yes.
But in terms of producing video content, like what I try to do is just take away the smoke and mirrors that come with it. You know, like it's all, for me, it's all about the output, and it doesn't matter what the input is. So if you've got €1,000 light versus using natural light like I'm using, it's all about how it looks in the end and not about what you're putting into it. And then I suppose it's just dividing it into the 3 stages of planning, filming, and editing, and to really define those stages and not start filming until your plan is solid. And like, I'll never make a video without a plan. And I use 8 steps for planning, and they involve like deciding the duration, asking yourself the 5 whys, like, why are you making the video? Who is the video for? What is the purpose? Where is it going? When are you sharing it? And then storyboarding, scripting, thinking about legal stuff. What else? They're adding a hook to the opening of the video. And when I work through that process, and I can work through it really quickly, like even if I'm making a 30-second video, I'll still just stand up and write all those things out. And then I'll move on to filming. I'll use phones, and I just make sure that the audio is really, really good with the phone. So I'll always use a mic, a lapel mic that I just plug into the phone and click onto my clothes.
Sure.
And then I can edit everything on my phone as well, because editing apps are becoming insanely good. So if you're interested, I'm not going to start you out, if you're new to this, I would suggest downloading Quick, Quik. It's an amazing app that makes beautiful montages and edits them to the beat of music. And it's owned by GoPro, and GoPro do everything pro. So it's a great app. And then if you wanted to go to the next level, I'd suggest KineMaster. It's KineMaster. And I can pretty much do everything on there that I can do on Adobe Premiere Pro. Not everything, but once I plan and shoot properly, I can edit a pretty slick video on there.
I think that's brilliant. I think for people starting out, it's the not knowing where to start. So you're given a quick sort of bullet point approach that they should follow there, and also just putting the jigsaw pieces together, making sure this, as you say, the sound is good, making sure that the lighting is good, and also, and this is what I say to clients, just appreciate that people watching you are not expecting you to be television quantity. They're watching you because of your content, not because of your production values. They're not looking for an international shoot. Just focus on your expertise and let that shine through your production. And I think that people are now very slowly, and I have lots of clients who are still reluctant to be on video. They're very slowly waking up to the possibilities provided by video marketing, definitely. If you were, and I'm sure you give me a probably different answer to this if we were thinking about your time in South America, but what was the best piece of advice you've been given? And if you want to, you can tell me, who told you that, or whether it's a quote or something.
Like, I was looking through loads of things, and I was like, God, I could think of 1,000 pieces of advice. I can't pick one. But I was then looked at the in my workshops, the last slide that I always put on screen, and I have to print it out because it's long and I can't remember things. Sure. But hence the teleprompter and not learning the script off by heart. But it's an Andy Warhol quote, and I love it. It says, "Don't think about making art, just get it done. Let everyone else decide if it's good or bad, whether they love it or hate it, while they're deciding make even more art." And I just take out art and put in videos. So don't think about making videos, just make them, and let people judge you. But as they're judging, you're making better videos, and then by the time they make up their mind about you, you're a pro. Hopefully.
I think that's very good advice, and it's something that you're right to sort of recognize as significant. If I take that to the YouTube arena, when you start off making videos on YouTube, it's like you're shouting into space because there's nobody there when you start, and you just think, what am I doing? And this could be such a long journey, but as you learn, you get more technical skills, you also build an audience, and it becomes a far more rewarding process. But yeah, when you start, just as per that quote, when you start, it just seems like you might look for validation that you're not receiving, and that's why a lot of people, I think a lot of people give up early. And there are, I mean, we might touch on this later, there are lots of advantages of video, not just in the pieces of content, but also in the search engine optimization aspects of it as well. Okay, what would you do differently if given another opportunity? And that can be anything during your life.
And again, this was another tough one that I was looking at, and I was like, and I know it probably sounds cliche to say, like, I couldn't do anything differently, because either I wouldn't have learned what I needed to learn, or it would have taken me somewhere else. Like, I suppose, do you know that movie Sliding Doors from years ago? I
Yes,
think
yeah.
Gwyneth Paltrow was in it. Like, I remember that broke my brain. I was like,
Mm,
oh my gosh, if you didn't get into, your life could be completely
mm,
different. And I remember like getting like really confused by life after watching it. And
yeah.
so when I was reading that question, I thought about that as well. So there's loads of things that I wish I like didn't do or did do differently,
Mm,
but if I pinpoint one, and you know, there's another thing as well. Like, if you take one thing away from someone, then they're not that person anymore. You know, so you know, if someone's annoying you or something like that, and you take away their annoying thing, then you're also affecting the balance of their good thing. So I think with life, it's kind of the same. Like, if I didn't do this, would I? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I'm
It's
sorry.
it's a difficult, no, I understand that. It's a difficult question because everything you've been through and your experiences have made you, you, and me. That's exactly right. But sometimes there might be, well, so I've asked people and they've said, if I'd said this in this pitch, maybe I would have gone and worked for Google or whatever it was. So sometimes there's a little thing like that. You might think, oh, okay, with hindsight, I thought that there was this. This approach would be different, but it's completely understandable. I worked for agencies for a long time, and I thought, that was the way to go. That's probably more secure. You work in your agencies and you do this, and you work with respectable brands and household names that everybody knows. But then you are very restricted in what you can do, and you're playing a particular role, and you're supposed to stick in that role. But actually, I want to be more involved in creating content. I want to be more involved in writing a blog, because I started off writing blogs, and I still love writing. I love making video as well. But if you asked me 10 years ago, am I going to be making YouTube videos and interviewing people on YouTube? No. I'm a good writer. I love marketing, but here I am now. you morph into all these different things. So you just have to learn from your experiences and enjoy the ride, I suppose. Do you work with, and you kind of answered this already, but if you do you work with colleagues, or do you work alone mostly?
Oh, like I spend so much time alone working, like
Yeah.
just like I suppose videos don't make themselves, and neither does like
Mm,
business content planning, strategy, all that kind of stuff. And
mm,
like I spend an awful lot of time, and I work late, and it's a bad habit that I can't get out of. And
mm,
I just kind of, I feel like my brain comes to life at around 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, okay, now it's time to get into work mode and stuff. So but recently I've taken on someone on a part-time basis who works with me, and it's just the best thing ever. Just to have someone to bounce ideas off, or
brilliant,
if I'm
brilliant.
busy giving training, they can reply to emails. And I don't know, it just feels like maybe that's one thing I should have done sooner, or something that I kind of would have changed if I could.
Yeah.
Maybe growing a little bit quicker and taking those risks a little bit sooner, because I'm very like I remember someone asking me, they were like a few years ago, they were like, are you looking for investing? And I was like, no, I'm not looking for investing at the moment. I'm fine managing the way I am, you know. And they were like,
Mm.
never say that you're not looking for an investor, you know. And I was like, really? Should I just say yes and then take someone's money that I don't know what even to do with, you know? Like, anyway, so like, you know, these days now I'd have more ideas and more business savviness that I'd be like, actually, I have this great idea, stuff like that. But back then I wasn't ready to take on staff, to grow. Now I am. So it's, I suppose you just have to wait, don't you, for
Yeah,
things to work themselves out, and your brain to be ready for change.
absolutely right. Well, I mean, you touched on investors there, and sort of, you know, and VC and so on. And I'm not going to say it's a dangerous world. That sounds very dramatic. It's once you bring in investors, you've got another layer of management above you. You're now working for your investors. They're now the bosses, and you're accountable to them. And they will, usually want 10x their return they've invested within a specific time period. So all of that, I'm the boss and I'm running things and I'm going to do things my way. Suddenly you're not anymore, because you've got you've brought in a level of management above yourself. So in some environments, that is the right thing to do, particularly if you need a lot of capital investment to produce goods, manufacture goods, but for services, it may be better to do, and I think it's an approach that I've taken, and obviously you're taking. It's more of an organic growth. You take on people that help you as and when needed, and then sort of delegate tasks that you want to move away from. It's strange what you were saying about editing. There seems, I mean, I have to do. The people that help me are more on the writing side. I do a lot of editing as well, quite late. It's almost as like there's an unwritten rule that you must edit late. I don't know why that is, but there's a lot of editing that you need to do. But it's
And do you know what I think it is? It's sorry,
No, go ahead.
if you need to be fully involved in the edit, and if you have emails coming in or calls coming through and it breaks your focus, it's really hard to get back to it. So I think that's why maybe editing is a nighttime kind of hobby, because you can focus and be there and get it done. Yeah.
Yeah. In your opinion, what change do you see in sort of video marketing or even mobile video marketing in the next 3 years?
Well, I just like, maybe not 3 years, but I think making a video is going to become as kind of normal as writing an email, and maybe that's 3 years is a bit of a stretch. But now with COVID-19 and the pandemic that's happened, like, have Salesforce and a few other companies said that it's been a digital transformation has occurred that would have taken 2 years otherwise.
Yes.
And I'm seeing it like for people who never appreciated video, or not appreciated it, but like never really saw the value in it, are now like, setting up the video chats and recording themselves through Zoom and stuff. And I'm like, this is great. So it's almost exponential, like how quickly, and you can see yourself as well, how much better people are becoming on Zoom and Teams chats. Like, their cameras being raised, and their lighting is better. They're moving stuff around. They're being engaging because they're more comfortable with themselves and stuff. So I just think that's going to translate then to people kind of, I guess it's the editing part. If people could get more confident in being able to edit their stuff together, I think we'd see a lot more stuff going online.
I think you're right. I think definitely the people digital transformation has been accelerated during the pandemic, without doubt. People are now embracing. I noticed that there was more viewing of my videos during the lockdown, and obviously lockdown's still going in some areas, and has been relaxed in some other areas. But there was more. There's more views, more comments, more engagement. I got more subscribers, and people are consuming more content. I think there just needs to be, and I said this I had a discussion a couple of nights ago with a new client in Australia. There just needs to be a focus on, and it goes back to your planning point, on sort of content strategy. So getting some of the technical skills, brilliant. just remember that it needs to be a plan, and what's the value add for your audience. And if you can remember those before you start, creating, then that's going to help you stand head and shoulders above your competitors who are still waiting to sort of jump into video, as it were. Okay, what has been your biggest challenge?
Well, when I was making, I got an opportunity to make my own show, which was amazing, right? So it was like one show a week, 30 minutes magazine show all about Cork, the area I'm from, and Cork County. And it was a huge undertaking. It was like planning, filming, editing, uploading, which at the time was like overnight thing, sending the file that was broadcast quality. It went out on Sky, on a Sky channel, and the audience was kind of the diaspora for Ireland. So people who had went to the States or England and still want to keep in touch with their hometown. But every week we had to basically go out and create 4 packages: sports, news, music, and I can't remember the other one. I think I've emptied my brain. But so my role was like everything. It was planning, presenting, filming, editing, and getting it all up. And it broke me. Like it was like a full year of doing it, and I really thought that it was going to lead somewhere. Do you know, the whole time I was like, to an opportunity outside of myself. I really thought that it was going to like be one step and it was going to get me onto this next step. And anyway, I ended up getting into burnout territory and just like I have to go, I have to leave. And then a month later, the company went into liquidation. So it was like just whether I left or not, it would have. So I drove to Spain. I got my my travel buds back, and I was like, gotta go again. Yeah. So ferry to France and drove down through France and into Spain for a month and came back, and I was like, I'm gonna have to start again. I was like, this whole video thing is not working for me. It was like I was making corporate videos, but companies on the side as well, and companies weren't willing to invest at the time, and I just kept I dropped a hard drive with like 2 gigs of footage and I didn't, or 2 terabytes of footage, and I didn't have it backed up, and all like it just felt like nothing was going right. And like I remember my mom saying like, these are all lessons that you're learning, and I was like, I'm sick of learning lessons, why can't it just go okay? And so I was like, back to the drawing board. So that's when I went and got the job in the university, and like I had to start from the start. I basically had to start with my economics degree from 10 years ago, ignoring all of the video stuff that I'd done all the time, and just go for an administrator role, a very kind of graduate kind of, but I didn't have experience in anything else outside of video, and I didn't know the language so that I could make people understand that all of those skills were transferable. I was just like, that's my industry now, I'm leaving it, now I have to start again. So it was a really big challenge, but you know what, getting that job is now like so I'm a project manager now as well, and that's all helped the way that I plan my videos, the way that I teach people how to make videos, the way that I talk to people through email and stuff like that. So while I thought it was a massive setback, and it felt like that for a good few months, it did turn into something that improved everything. So challenge, oh god, yeah, even thinking back on it now though, I'm like
it definitely was a challenge, but you overcame it, and you're obviously very resilient. But as you've just said, it's improved your approach to business, your effectiveness in business, and also you still understand the both sides, the business analytical side, let's say, and also the creative side, because as you were saying earlier in this discussion, business they do make artificial sort of demarcations between the two, and really anybody can be creative, anybody can have some great conceptual ideas for videos or just approaching business problems. So yeah, no, I think you did very well out of that situation. Just in terms of the program, that your program, did you keep or do you have the videos of all of those programs?
Well, I have a box of hard drives and their duplicates, learning from the time that I dropped that hard drive. So every hard drive has a backup hard drive now, and they're stored in separate places in case one place goes on fire. Oh God. So I have all the episodes, but even though like we were sole traders, we weren't employed by the company that we were making the TV shows for,
Yeah.
we still had to sign over all the rights.
Oh, the rights are all
So
signed over.
their footage kind of thing. So I have like I can still use the raw footage in other videos, which is nice because I've got a whole year of events in Cork, St. Patrick's Day and
Yeah.
Christmas fairs and all that kind of stuff. So I can use them in the future. But
I've seen,
unfortunately,
yeah.
once the company closed down, they took away all the footage as well.
That's a shame, because it would be great to be able to upload those to your channel, given that they'd gone into liquidation. So I just thought that was maybe an opportunity, because they're no longer around, and it's a shame. But you've got all the experience, and as you say, you've got all the raw footage, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one that's not an easy question. It's, who is your entrepreneurial hero and why?
This is another one that I battled with. And now the reason being, right, I love stories and I love like I love biographies and autobiographies, and I will read them. Like I just get so excited. I'm signed up to Audible, so I get a free book every month, and not free, I pay for it. But in my head, it's like free book time. So, and I always go for the entrepreneur ones. And like I remember actually physically reading Anita Roderick from The Body Shop. I thought her story was fascinating. Like Richard Branson, I just love the way he walks around and like no shoes, and he can just be totally himself, like and I love all those people. But then at the same time, like you're reading the autobiography and the biography, but you don't actually know these people, and you don't know what they're like, and then you hear the horror stories, like the way that Steve Jobs treated people, and like being sound and a nice person is a big part like of why I like being in my own business as well, because I can choose not to work with people sometimes, or choose who to really want to work with based on kind of like how nice they are, like it just makes my life so much easier when people are just like nice. So then like I feel like as well at the moment there's so much being uncovered about everyone that I feel like if I say like Richard Branson's my idol, something can come out about Richard Branson in a month's time, and you're like, oh god, so then when I went to the next stage of thinking about this, I would have to say my mother, because she she really is like, my dad and her divorced when I was about maybe 7 or 8, and that was very weird in Ireland. Like nobody divorced at the time, it was like, I remember like we couldn't even tell people because like nobody really knew what it meant, so she was like a trailblazer in that. So she had her own business, and she used to sell fabric and do up people's houses with curtains and stuff like that. But then the business had to be sold. So then she started buying houses. Well, not buying houses, but like we had to sell our house. So then we bought a tiny little cottage. She did it up, renovated it, sold it, bought another one, sold that, did it up, sold it, bought another one. So
property development.
Yeah, exactly. Now on a very small scale, like, but like she's never worked for someone. I couldn't imagine her working for someone, but even she went out doing market research for a while, where she calls to people's doors and like always just able to make $1 to pay her way. And what she has, what I lack that she has as well, is an amazing sales skill. She would like sell ice to Eskimos, she's just amazing at it, like but yeah, I'd have to say her, because I know her inside out as well, and I know that and watching it in real life is always better than reading it in a book as well.
It's really interesting because it's a very good point to the credit, in your mother's credit, because in all these times I've asked this question, 2 people, you're the second person, have mentioned a parent, and it just means that you've got, I only know, from this conversation, but you've got a very good relationship with them, and they've been such a good example to you. And what you were saying about famous people is exactly right. During the course of the content I create, I do a lot of research into people. And if you were to mention I would never mention it today or in a discussion, but there's lots of people who at some stage I've thought I've admired them on one level, and then I've done my research, because I mean, this is about you, it's not about me, but I have a history degree, so I research things in depth, and I look at different perspectives. So when you do your research into individuals, you often uncover stories and things that happen that aren't particularly nice about people. I'm not going to name any names. So you're absolutely right to have somebody, a real person that you know, who is your hero, and for the reasons you've mentioned, and that's really nice. It's really nice to hear. Okay.
Oh, good.
No, it's perfect. And there's a lady in there's just a lady in Singapore who said the same, who spoke very highly of her dad, who'd probably given her an example of how to be entrepreneurial without using those words, but just the same as you. Okay, I would like my audience to be able to obviously look at your courses and workshops, find all your details. So can you give me your website, please, and your socials, and I'll put these in the description under the video.
Sure. So the website is thevidacademy.com, and thank God I was able to get all of the handles on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook for @the Vid Academy. So
Brilliant.
I was delighted with myself when I got the website and all the socials. I was like, yes. Little
good.
wins.
No, it's brilliant. And what if somebody was considering sort of starting with video, having heard this discussion, what thought would you want them to have to make sure that they take action? What would you say to them?
Oh, that's a toughie. Like, do you know what? If it's any help, on thevidacademy.com, on the banner on top, there's the link to a free course, which is a 10-day video challenge. And it's just every day you can create a video. Like, day one is create a time lapse using your phone, and then you can upload it to a closed Facebook group so that other participants can see it. So then you don't have to actually make it super public, unless maybe you get a few likes from the participants in your group, and then that validates to you, okay, it's good enough to share somewhere else and stuff like that. So that could be a first step. But I think Andy Warhol, again, just I think as well, now is such a good time to start making these mistakes, because the pandemic has turned everything up on its head. And if you make a video, people love people, and they love watching people. So if you just put yourself in front of camera and just make it short and just say, hey everyone, you'll catch the bug, and you'll start looking for more information then naturally yourself, I'm sure. How did you first start making videos, Mike? What was your first intro?
I think that, first of all, I will answer that question. But first of all, that resource that you've mentioned is brilliant. I think that will really get people started. So I will link to that in the description to make sure that people can pick that up from your website. I was writing lots of blog posts, and I thought some of the messages I had, it's like, well, this is probably it will be a better format if it's a video rather than an article. Because if it's an article, it might be a really long article, like 5,000 words, and people, they will read long articles, but they prefer to watch a video, because then they can decide in the first minute, is this person engaging? Am I still interested in the message? And then they'll continue from there. And the funny thing is, and I don't normally share this, but my first video for my YouTube channel, I just put I had a camera. I can't even remember what model it was now. I've sold it since then, but I had a camera, and I put it in my glove compartment in my car, and I just faced it towards me, and I was talking about focusing on your, I think 80% of your marketing effort should be focused on the 20% that was more profitable, and you're going to get more out of in revenue terms and business. So I remember sitting on Wimbledon Common in my car, talking to myself, people walking past the car, and I'm filming this video. And I did think, oh, this is a bit, I've got a lot more confidence since then, obviously, but that was my first video for YouTube. And as you've said, people, responded positively to it, and they liked what I was saying. And I think as long as you can either, and you've done both in your career, as long as you can either educate or entertain, people will be happy with what, the videos that you create. That's what they want to see. And obviously in a business scenario, we want to educate, because then we build up our relationship and rapport with them, and they come down our sort of sales funnel, and then they'll think about buying our services. So we go down the sort of educational approach. But yeah, I actually love video, but I started out by being, and I still am, a writer. So there you go. Yeah, I
But
think it's
that's a great place to start. Yeah, as well, like if you can create the script content, like I'm not a writer, and
mm,
that's what I find so hard, you know. So like I think my next employee or next person to bring on to the team will be someone who can write my scripts for me, so I can just
yeah,
turn up, do that, and
yeah.
edit.
But it's there's so much scope, and as you say, it's something that people just need to get on board with now. It's a great opportunity. I'm all out of questions. Judie, this has been brilliant. I've really enjoyed it. I could talk to you for hours, but I've got to edit it and upload it. So there is that to bear. There is that to bear in mind. Is there anything else you want to discuss at this point, or
No,
anything?
I really appreciate, you know, like I just like I rarely get the opportunity to do this, like interviews
Mm,
with you know through. So I was just so delighted
mm.
to be asked because I feel like you know video is so cool. Like it feels like you're here, you know,
Yes.
and you're all the way over there, and we're
Yeah.
able to just like come together, be able to hear each other, see each other. Like it still blows my mind, even
It's
though I've been
perfect.
working in it for ages. It's just the best. Like it's really
It
cool. So
is,
thanks a
and
million for the
no,
opportunity.
it's a pleasure. Thank you very much for being a guest. I've really enjoyed it. I will put all your links in the description. Uh, and if there's anything you think I can help you with in any way, I feel like we're friends now. Hopefully we are. Just reach out to me and let me know. But thank you very much. I'm going to give you a round of applause, and then thanks, Judy. I appreciate it, and thanks for speaking to my audience.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.